So I was just noticing that since we've like redone the space in here and it's very much more spare and everything, so it's very traditional looking, you know, pretty empty. Like the VTAA is like that too, right? So I'm just kind of thinking like just from a traditional and kind of space perspective, why is it better this way, do you think, for your personal practice and for the school? Why do you have it set up this way?
Well, because it feels like, you know, when you go to VTAA in Hong Kong, the minute you walk in that room, you can feel that it's a Kung Fu school, a traditional Kung Fu Kung. Mm-hmm. And I think that when people come to practice, that gives them a sense of, okay, now I'm here to train Kung Fu. So having that kind of traditional atmosphere is really important.
Yeah, and it occurs to me that it also, like when you walk in that space, because it's historical, like you feel like, oh, Yip Man's presence, but also then it kind of, so is it your hope that that kind of feeling carries over across the ocean to this space? People come in and they know it's set up just like over there?
Right, it's set up just like the VTAA, and the way that the art is passed on, the way it's taught, is exactly the way they do it in Hong Kong. That's why I call it Hong Kong style training. I teach in the traditional way, the same way that Yip Ching taught his students, the same way that Yip Man taught his students, same way Yip Man learned from Lung Bick and Chen Hua Shan. It's been the same for generations. So I don't feel I need to change or add anything to the art or take anything away. I teach in a very traditional manner. And the space being set up the way it is, very simple and all about Kung Fu. It's like when people walk in here, they know that they're walking into a traditional Kung.
Yeah, and why, you know, because some people are like, oh, you know, we have to adapt and change and this and that, but for you, the matter of like carrying the tradition from the past into the present is very important. So like for a student today, like why do you think that, you know, maybe should matter to them, or for the people for whom it does matter, like why is that important to feel that connection and to carry it on in the same exact kind of way?
Well, I think for some people, maybe they feel differently. And they want to change the art or change what they do. And that's whatever, that's fine. But for me, this is like passing down a piece of history. It's like getting an heirloom gift from somebody, and you hang on to it, and then you pass it to the next generation. So I think that for me, keeping it original and traditional and teaching the same way that it's been taught is really important. And I think that the atmosphere helps people to learn the art in a traditional way. So, you know, when you have the open class going on, you've got the senior students are helping the juniors, and, you know, and I'm constantly like making my rounds around the room, and I teach, you know, the art. In other words, I teach from the forms, and then from the form you learn the art, and then you spend a lot of time in Chi Sao practice to learn the response and learn how to apply techniques and energy and positioning, sensitivity. So a lot of time is spent in Chi Sao practice, the same way it's been done in Hong Kong.
Right.
Since 1949, when Yip Man moved there and started to teach, right. 1950, 51.
Yeah, and I know that you're talking about we're going to reinstall the scrolls that go along that we had up here before. And so even though they're not there, you can say in English, you know, like what it is they stand for. But like it seems to me like it represents some values that traditional Kung Fu training offers.
Yeah,
in this case.
A lot of traditional schools have the two banners. The top banner says Wing Chun Hall or Wing Chun Tong, the house of Wing Chun.
Right.
And then the other banners talk about passing the art on in a traditional manner to the next generation, and the country will grow strong. So it's a very, it was written in a time in China where you know, Chinese people were going through a lot of turmoil. And I was told anyway that the saying come from Lung Jan, that if you keep the art original and traditional and you pass it on correctly, then that will help people to get strong and help them in their lives.
Yeah, and so maybe just so we don't run over the allotted time that YouTube allows, we're at almost 7 minutes. So maybe, like, what is one aspect of this traditional way in terms of like ethics, or in terms of like how this can help you in your everyday life? Where the people are super busy, they're running around, they're on their devices, jobs are very demanding. Most households are like 2 people working and all this. Like, what is one thing that you think of like that where this could really, learning in this traditional way could really help a person today?
Well, because I teach the art of the Wing Tsun is a principle and theory based martial art. So it's not, we don't have that many techniques really. So you teach the principle and the theory, and that can be applied to any aspect of your life. These ideas that Wing Tsun operates on, not fighting force against force, deflecting energy, borrowing energy, all these things. When you really understand the principles, you understand that you can live your life by them.
So like maybe think of like don't fight force against force. What's an example maybe that you've experienced, or like something that's a student has come to you with where that was an application in everyday life?
It could be in a relationship, or it could be like at your work with your boss. You know, if you're constantly like butting heads and arguing about things and all that, it's time to like step back and stop clashing force against force like that. You got to think in the Wing Tsun way. How can I get around this problem, or how can I solve it without fighting and arguing, clashing force against force? So I try to teach the students that in order to really understand Wing Tsun, you have to think in the Wing Tsun way.
That's really good. Cool. Thanks a lot for talking. I know it's not your favorite thing to do.
Back to practice.
Back to practice. All right. Thanks.